All right, welcome to the Ordinary American. I think we're up. We're trying a new system today. We're on Rumble Studio. We're going to see how it goes. Um, Today, we're talking about Gollum, James Carville, and how he is off his rocker again, giving up all of the secrets that the Democrats have been sort of hiding. Not really. We're going to go in. Oh, hold on. Oh, I apologize. There it is. All right, we're back. All right, let's try that again. We got Gollum. This with James Carville. Here we go. I'm Paul Sarkis. This is The Ordinary American. We are an anti-leftist show, which means we are anti-Democrat. We work hard to wake people up. Voting Democrat is voting to break yourself into jail. Okay, as you can see from that last snafu, we are live. We do this every day at 2 p.m., and we're trying some new technologies. Okay, Carville got right into it. I'm going to try to add this, and then we're going to see if we can play it. Let's just listen to him. Let's see if this works.
The Democrats win the presidency in both houses of Congress. I think on day one, they should make Puerto Rico, D.C. a state. They should expand the Supreme Court to 13. Eat our dust. They've done everything they could. They held up the 2000 election. They stole it. They've stolen Supreme Court seats. They've gerrymandered everything that you can. And the only way to fight this is don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. She said, okay, we got 54 senators and we got 13 court members. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay. This is him saying what most of us have known for a long time. John Thune, evidently, is too thick-headed or too corrupt to understand this. He should be listening to this. What he just said is Democrat policy. I have said here often, the left ruins everything it touches, and it does not value the truth. Both of those pieces of wisdom are from the great Dennis Prager. James Carville himself said about 5 or 6 years ago, the only moral imperative that matters is power, because without power, he says, you can't do anything. Spoken like a true leftist. What is he saying in that clip? He's saying, we're going to pack the Supreme Court, but first we're going to make DC and Puerto Rico states to get 4 more senators. Presumably they're all going to be Democrat and they're going to vote Democrat, which means that we're going to then be able to vote in when we pack the Supreme Court and add 4 more seats. We're going to be able to pack them with young leftist jurists. So he's taken it sequentially. We got to get more senators to then break the court, and then we'll have power forever. And then what does he say? The most important part, the recommendation of Democrats, don't talk about it. Don't run on it, he says. Just do it. That's a fancy way of saying lie to the constituents, lie to the voters. They don't have to hear the truth. We'll just do it. This gets to the great Thomas Sowell, the vision of the anointed, that opinion. We don't have to tell them the truth. They're stupid rubes. We know what's best. We need the power. That's somebody who believes that they're anointed, who believes that they have special knowledge, that they should be in charge. These are the Democrats. This is the left. And even the people, you people out there, you tech bros, the Chamaths and others who are out now trying to, I guess, get back in the good graces of Trump or somebody, you spent millions putting Democrats in charge of California, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, other states, total single party rule. And then what happened? You didn't like it and you left. We need people to wake up first, and don't do that. That's Carville telling you, lie. He's telling Democrat candidates, lie. We saw this in Virginia in this most recent election. Spanberger, she didn't come out and say, I'm a crazy leftist. I'm going to put whatever it was, 50 new taxes in. I'm going to do gerrymandering. She ran, go back and watch her stuff, as a centrist. Hey, I'm like an old blue dog Democrat. Don't pay attention to me. When she got in, Bam, hardcore leftist. She's the model that Carville's talking about. By the way, not a new model, not a new model. Barack Obama has maybe the most famous at this point lie a politician ever told anybody. He ran for years telling America, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. And it's going to be $2,000 a year of savings we're going to get you. Total lie. Now I'm going to try to play this clip. Okay, let's see if I can do it. This next clip, wait, that's not what I want. Here we go. All right. This is Jonathan Gruber. He is one of the architects of Obamacare. This is him talking to a group after Obamacare was passed, bragging about how they did it. Just listen. Let's see if I can get this to work.
You just literally cannot do it. Okay, transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay, so it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent, but I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. There's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have this law than.
Okay. You see that? This is, all right, there we go. This is the left. This is the Democrat Party. By the way, everyone who voted for Obama when they knew about Obamacare, he just called you stupid. He just called you a loser, idiot, useful idiot who he rolled. He said, I'd rather be transparent, but I'd rather have the bill. Special knowledge. I'm anointed. I'm smarter than you. I have to trick you because you don't know what's good for you. This is the Democrat Party. This is why voting for Democrats is like breaking into jail, because now we have the healthcare system we have. Just go on social media and see all the people who are giving their horror stories about their medical coverage, healthcare. And by the way, we were told that was going to save us money. Why do we keep needing more subsidies? You got your premium, you got your deductible, you got your total out of pocket, you got your out of pocket, your family's out of pocket. All the prices change every year and they go up nonstop. Your doctor won't spend 10 minutes with you. You get told if you do to take the COVID vaccine, which is killing people and did kill people. The vaccines, we were lied about that for decades. It's all a lie. The Democrats can't win elections by telling the truth because nobody wants the policies. Look at New York City. If Mondami said, I am going to make the city disgusting and I'm going to make sure that white people pay a special white people tax, would he have won? If he said, I'm going to raise the estate tax, I'm going to rob the pension funds, I can't give you the free buses that I told you about. Wink, wink, don't tell anybody. Okay? So the free stuff I promised you, I can't give you, but I am going to tax you till you're bleeding out of your eyes. He wouldn't have won. None of them would win. If they told you the truth, if Bernie Sanders came out and said, listen, I work the system. I get you to pay me a salary, which I then leverage to make millions. 3 homes. We now see from the Mussolini book sale thing, the Democrats have been running the scam forever. I'm going to put out a book. Then I'm going to get my or some political action committee to spend a couple of $1 million buying the book. By the way, not only does that put the book on the so-called sales figures up at the top, bestsellers, couldn't think of the word, but it also pays them because they're getting royalties. I don't know how this isn't some violation of some federal law. And we're going to get to this in a little bit. And I guess, the IRS doesn't have the time or the inclination to go after any of them. Don't do that. You got to go after ordinary Americans. We'll come back to that. But the left can't win on these policies. They can't tell you this is what we're going to do. If Mussolini had said, listen, California, this was going back at the beginning, we're going to do this fake charade train thing. We're going to get 30 to 50 billion, and we still won't have an ounce of track laid. But don't worry, I'm going to get rich. And all the people around me are going to get fees and consulting fees, and they're going to get paid for their nonsense work. And we are going to steal and loot you like crazy. And there's going to be no train. But don't worry, you can go to the cocktail party and say you were with me. If he said that, nobody would vote for him. If the Democrat Party had legitimate elections, were subject to legitimate elections, and couldn't steal our money, there'd be a 20% fringe party. Carville is just the latest to be saying this. Gruber, I'm showing you, because that was probably in 2013. Probably 2013. Okay, it's always a lie. He said it at the beginning. We had to write the bill in a torturous way. Nancy Pelosi is famous for saying about that bill, we have to pass it before you can see what's in it. Excuse me? It is no longer the consent of the governed. Now they're our masters, and we work for them. The left ruins everything it touches. You should not be voting for Democrats any longer. You're either in on it or you're retarded if you're voting for Democrats. It's unbelievable to see what's going on. All right, we're going to move on to a few other things, but that Carville clip is just, don't run on it, he says. In other words, shh, don't say anything to anybody. Just get in and then vote for it. Anybody voting for a Democrat now is agreeing to be lied to. That's what that amounts to. You are agreeing. You are saying, I'm going to vote for you. Please lie to me. Please use me. I'm a useful idiot. That's what Carville is saying. And Gruber said the same thing. And Obama, by the way, he just lied and everybody voted for him. Not everybody. A lot of people. Okay? And then a lot of those people have left all the states that they turned into Democrat single party rule. Okay. We're going to move on and touch on a few more things. But that Carville one, Gollum, he looks so much like Gollum, by the way. It's crazy. I still think he's playing a character, meaning all of his outrage and his TDS stuff, but he's being serious there. By the way, he is a smart politician. He's giving the Democrats political advice. He's saying, if you want power, you lie to get in. Evidently, it works. If you want to see a contrast, look at Trump. You can get this, it's all over the web. Just look it up. Use Grok, use whatever. You'll find the clips. He's been talking to the press for 50 years. I think the youngest I saw a clip, he was 33. Maybe he's younger in other clips. He's been talking about these same topics. Iran, China, all these things constantly, or do a better exercise. Go back and look at that speech he gave when he came down the escalator. A, it's a great speech. But B, it's exactly what's going on now. Exactly. Okay? His policies, his ideas, they've been the same. And he tells them to you. 77 million people voted for him. Why? He said, I'm going to close the border. James Carville said, we're going to open the border and give everyone we can amnesty. Why? Gives us power. We don't care if it ruins the country. We just want the power. Trump said, I'm going to close the border, and he's been doing it. He told us what he was going to do, and he's doing it. By the way, it's not going as fast as I want, but I don't have to deal on a day-to-day basis with what he has to deal with. He has to deal with a Republican Party, John Thune, who sees this and knows this about. I'm not the only one who saw this. Carville thing, no. Thune saw this. Thune's another useful idiot. Trump has to deal with this. He's the master deal maker, and he's working it. anyways, he's the opposite. The great Dan Bongino contrasts the Carvilles and the Mussolinis and the Obamas with the Trump. Trump with the Trump. I call them the Trump. With Trump or the Trump. He told you what he was going to do, and now he's doing it. You might not have liked it, but A, he's doing it, and B, it's working. It's working. Okay? All right, we're gonna move on now. We're just gonna talk briefly about Iran because we got to keep up on this one. Over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal, every lefty, every Democrat, all the panicans, all the establishment, Iran's not going to send anybody. They're going to close the straits. Blah, 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 blah. What did Trump do? He just kept doing what he's doing. What did they do yesterday? The Iranians tried to challenge him. They blew a hole in the engine room of an Iranian boat. And then the Marines mounted it and they took it over. We'll find out what's in it. I am sure that was a test for the Iranians to think maybe he won't do it. And then he did do it. Because Trump is not Obama. Remember Obama with his red line in the sand to Putin? Putin just crossed it, and Obama just was like, well, I don't know. Okay, all right, let's move on to something else. That's not Trump. Okay? I don't know what else, by the way, they're going to find in that ship. My suspicion is it was more than just a test. There's something strategic in there that will benefit us. Let's wait and see. But the Iranians are sending their negotiators to talk with JD and the Trump team. And we'll see what happens. The ceasefire is almost over. Maybe we'll have a deal, maybe we won't. What I think we do know is China wants there to be a deal. And now I'm reading that Russia wants the ceasefire to continue, which means they want a deal. Why? Because everybody realizes that Iran is gone now. Iran's not going to be the Iran of before. They aren't going to be funding Hezbollah and Hamas and any of the other blah blahs, leftist terrorist organizations around the world. So if they can't do that, then the last thing they can provide is cheap oil, and that's not happening either. Okay? Side note, I'm reading that there's 200 oil tankers on their way to the US to load up to buy oil and gas. So in the middle of this awful, I don't like the prices at the pump, although they're coming down. But what we're going to get is what we are getting is a massive increase in our exports of oil and natural gas at market rates. That is going to be great. We're doing energy deals, I am sure, and we're showing the world, come to us, drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Continuity, by the way. Drill, baby, drill started and Trump won. One of the early first things he did. All right, we're going to keep an eye on the Iran stuff. I tried to check on Truth Social before and see. I don't see any other news other than that. So we're going to see. A quick note on energy. The German energy minister came out and admitted that the renewables are ruining the German economy. They shouldn't have got rid of their nuke plants. They did. The French didn't. The French has been doing nukes, so they'll be better than the rest of them. But and Britain won't drill up in the North Sea where there's tons. So what's going to happen? Hey, have at it, bro. You'll just have to buy from us. Either way, we got Venezuela back in the mix. We're going to get the Iranian oil back in the mix. There's not going to be any more below market deals. The Germany energy minister admitting this, I think, is a big deal. I didn't see a ton on it, but I saw some. So we'll see. I mean, they're not going to be able to suddenly rebuild their nuclear infrastructure very quickly. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that the European leaders can be as stupid as they were. By the way, making me feel that one of the things I often say, which is the experts suck. These elected officials, they're not special. They just went through a process and got elected, and most times it was corrupted. This guy Starmer, he seems like such an empty suit. Macron is, as I said last week, is a total buffoon with his video conference. He's an idiot. But these guys, they are not special. They are just human beings. And in many cases, dumber human beings than the ordinary human being. And the energy policy is what I'm fired up today. All right. Try to bring it down a little bit. All right. Ken Paxton, AG from Texas. He just filed a suit against Act Blue. Act Blue is the Democrat fundraising unit that somehow is able to take money in from outside sources and sort of have it show up as being donated by ordinary Americans and in small amounts, $50, $100. And you've got some of these great journalists, individual investigative journalists, who are going to people's houses and saying, hey, you're on here, it's giving to so-and-so 72 times last year. Did you really do that? And they're saying, no, I didn't. Act Blue has some way that they assign the money to these people. And I guess the IRS doesn't have any reason to look at that. Just another example. What's the IRS doing? You got to go after ordinary Americans? You got Act Blue you could go after. They seem to be doing something wrong. How about the Mussolini's with his book deal? How about Ilhan Omar, however you say her name, and her sudden change from $30 million net worth to no net worth? Want to go after her or her husband or Ayanna Pressley, who as soon as she wins, her husband gets a consulting company and then their net worth goes up? No interest in that? What about all of the corporations that we see in LA, 500 of or something, Dr. Oz said, that got closed down because they were fraudulent hospice stealing our money or other healthcare scams? Can't go after them? You need Nick Shirley and James O'Keefe and Muckraker, I forget how you say it. They find it, but you can't? You got what, $10 billion budget? These guys have what, $10 budget? They got a phone and they walk into these places. Anyways, Ken Paxton, he's got it going on Act Blue. Let's see what happens. All right, want to move on. I want to come towards the end to something that has to do with the Supreme Court. Scott McNeely, let me see if I can find that. Scott McNeely has a great quote or a great comment. And what he basically said, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Okay, but what he basically said is, does the US government do anything that's lawful anymore? And what he was asking specifically around is this case out of New York where they're saying that more than 50% of all the commercial driver's licenses that were given out fraudulently. More than half. What? And his question's a great one. By the way, Scott McNeely was the founder and CEO, chairman for a long time of Sun Microsystems, extremely smart tech entrepreneur. And he asks some of these great questions, like, what is going on? Do they do anything lawful? I mean, I'll go back to what I just said. The IRS can't go after any of these companies. They can't find any of this. Certainly, there's got to be some issues with some of this stuff. These guys that are creating fake nonprofits. Stacey Abrams, she creates a nonprofit out of nothing, gets $2 billion. Nobody wants to look into it? All the paperwork's right? They didn't miss anything? Count me suspect. Okay, it seems to me like a Lois Lerner deal. Remember Lois Lerner? She's the one who, for Obama, during the 2012 election cycle, refused to authorize nonprofit status to any of the conservative groups that were applying in advance of that cycle. Why? Because when you can get people to donate with a tax deduction, that's the nonprofit part of it, it's easier to raise money. They weaponized it, take that off the board for the conservatives. When what they do, obviously look the other way for the Democrats, because thousands and thousands and thousands of these fake ones are out there now. Everybody we see has a brother or a cousin or a wife or a husband who's got a nonprofit. All of their paperwork is in alignment. Too fired up to speak normal. All right. Scott McNeely, does anything the government's doing now, is it any of it lawful? I don't know. Extremely frustrating. Okay. I want to briefly touch on Kash Patel because I, like you, want to see some justice. He said on Maria Bartiromo, I think I have this clip. Let's see if I can get this one going. Oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. Let me see if this works. All right, here we go. Hold on. Boom. Boom. Let's see here.
Disease Temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests, and it's coming, and I promise you it's coming soon.
I mean, that doesn't seem vague to me. Does that seem vague to you? He said it's coming. I hope so. He says we got all the information. I don't know why he didn't call it evidence, but information. From what I'm reading, I shared this last week, Brennan is one of the, if not the only at the moment, target. But they got all the information. They already know all of the scams they ran, Obama starting it back right after Trump won. It actually started before then. Comey, we got Comey's handwritten notes saying to his friend, hey, I think Hillary Clinton's really going to appreciate how I handled this when she's president. What? Yeah. So back to Scott McNeely. No, they don't do anything on the level. This is why the founding fathers knew and instructed us, small government, small problems, big government, big problems. As little government as possible. As little government as possible. We're going to wait and see. We'll see what Patel can do. I hope, listen, if there are no consequences, it's going to get tough because us humans don't tend to quit when we're ahead. I've shared this before. I had the great fortune of having a few meals with Steve Wynn, one of the great American businessmen of all time. In his casino, he looked around and he said, if people quit while they were ahead, I wouldn't have a business. The bad guys are the same way. If the guys and the women who performed all this coup stuff, and by the way, it succeeded in 2020. We wrestled it back in 24, but it succeeded. It was a coup. If all that traitorous activity is unpunished, all that's going to happen is they're going to learn from it. And one of the things they will learn, you can see this with the Kash Patel stuff previously in that clip, I think is where he says they found all this information that was supposed to be destroyed. Well, guess what? They're going to destroy it a lot sooner next time they're in power. And as Carville said, they're not going to tell anybody what they're going to do. They're just going to lie to us, trick a bunch of us, corrupt elections, get in, and then change everything. Total corruption, guys. Okay? Not good. Let's see if Patel can do it. I hope so. Obviously, I'm rooting for him. Okay, last thing. Robbie Starbuck. I don't have the clip, so I can't show it, but I'm gonna talk about it. By the way, tell me how this technology went today. Send me an email, TheOrdAmerican, and let me know how it went, or leave a comment on Rumble or YouTube. I don't know if it's worked. I hope so. I think it enhances the show and the information flow, which is what we were trying to get out to everybody. An obsessive, consumer of information, me trying to get as much good stuff out to you as possible so that you won't vote for Democrats, so that you'll wake up, so that you'll talk to other people and be able to say, oh, I heard Act Blue is being sued by the Attorney General in Texas. Or look at what Kash Patel said. He said arrests are coming. Or Carville said, don't run on it, just do it. That's a lie. Okay? Robbie Starbuck, he's done such amazing work. he asked a great question. The Supreme Court, it didn't get a ton of press, but there's an article in the New York Times where it's supposedly a giant scoop, unnamed sources, again, saying that the court is doing all this stuff. Obviously, they're picking on the conservatives on the court. Okay, you can read it if you want. I'm not going to publish it here because I don't want to give them any clicks, and it's all a bunch of lies anyways. But it brings up this thing. The leftist jurists on there, Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson, and actually, unfortunately, sometimes Roberts, but those other three, they have been delaying their dissents. They've been dragging their dissents out so that the court wouldn't publish the decision in a time frame that the court would have otherwise done it. They drag it out weeks, months. Well, why would they do that? Robbie Starbuck hypothesizes and says, essentially, why would you delay it? The decision's been made. So the only thing that you're waiting for is to drive up civil unrest, maybe get somebody hurt, which we've seen somebody arrested when they were trying to get to Kavanaugh, okay, around the Dobbs decision. So they delay these things. Why? It's always a scam with the left. Always. And by the way, these leaks coming out of the Supreme Court, what are the odds it's one of those three? I think the odds are pretty good. Okay? I think the odds are pretty good. And just on the macro level, why do we not see the conservative opinions getting leaked out? Or obviously conservative opinions, meaning why aren't the conservatives doing this? Why don't we see any conservatives going after the leftist judges? Or for that matter, why don't we see any voting irregularities by conservatives or Republicans? Where are those? Where are the Republican states that have, say, 6 million voters, but ballots from 7 million people? Where are the Republican places like that? Where are the Republicans being convicted for voting more than once? I don't see any of that. I'm sure it's there. Show it to me. By the way, where are all the conservative and Republican nonprofit organizations or corporations stealing our money? I don't see them. I don't see them. The left ruins everything it touches, and it does not value the truth. James Carville just told us that. Okay? He just told us that. And he's saying, we lie to you on purpose. We have to be smarter than this. More of us have to wake up. Two groups that I talk to often, Black Americans. Why on earth are you voting for a party that has had single party control over your school systems and your neighborhoods for decades? They've got more money and the test scores have gone down. The illiteracy rates in the Black communities are staggering. If somebody was a real racist, wouldn't it be a great plan to use the system to make sure that the kids who graduate can't read, write, or do math at grade level? Wouldn't that be a great thing for a racist to do? They have been controlling your school districts. Stop voting for them. You give your vote. At the very least, be competitive about it. Make them fight for your vote. Make them think that you're not going to vote for them. How would you do that? Stop voting for them. How does Trump show Iran that he's serious? He blows up the engine room in the boat. He bombs the poop out of their whole military infrastructure. How does he show China that he's serious? He takes out all of the Chinese weapons in Iran. So anyone that's buying Chinese weapons around the world are looking around saying, hey, Xi, you told me those things would work. They didn't last 4 minutes. If you're a Black American, how do you show the Democrats that you're for real and stop just taking our vote for granted? Stop voting for them. Stop voting for them. Try to put people in who are going to actually change your schools. Jewish Americans, who I talk to a lot on this show, you've been voting Democrat as they've been against Israel. This nonsense about Obama paying them, and somehow that was good for Israel, paying Iran, sorry, somehow that was good for Israel. It wasn't. He did what James Carville just said. He lied, you fell for it, and then he gave Iran money, pardon me, to fund terror against Israel. We got to stop it, guys. We got to stop it. Okay, New Technology Day. Let's see how that went. Very much appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, follow, comment. Write us an email if you got suggestions of topics that you want us to go into deeper dives on. I did say I was going to do a 15-minute one this weekend, and I did not do it. Hopefully, I won't let you down that much in the future, hopefully ever again. I think I'm going to try to get one done in the middle of the week. And two last things before we go. One, if you don't understand Bitcoin, it is worthwhile going and try to understand it. You don't have to become an expert. Just start to look it up. Finite supply, freedom money. It solves two problems, the printing problem and the trust and control problem by government. It's worth understanding. Some things are happening in that industry around digital credit, STRC, and SATA that pay out huge dividends, 11.5% and 13%, tax deferred. Freedom money. Extremely important to understand. Extremely important. And the last thing, I was watching or listening to a podcast, Rhonda Patrick. I'll try to put it in my The Ord American thread on X. She was interviewing Arthur Brooks. Arthur Brooks has become very well known for, it's oversimplified and reductive, but about happiness. It's really much more about meaning and living a meaningful life, but about happiness. I highly recommend it. Ultimately, I think he would agree, a belief in God is the greatest life hack you can get. I highly recommend it. Pray every day, even if you're an atheist. Pray. Pray just for good things to happen in the world. All right, and we're going to see you guys here back tomorrow at 2 o'clock on The Ordinary American. I'm rooting for you.